Look, I'm going to tell it to you like this. They want you to procrastinate and to second guess yourself. They want you to doubt yourself. They want you to not be so sure of what your path is because they don't have a clear, definitive path of what they're supposed to do. Now, they know they're supposed to disrupt anything that you got going on. They know that. They know that there's something in them that makes them want to sabotage you. It makes them want to lie on your name. It makes them want to gossip, slander you. So they'll say that you're slandering them, but it ain't slander if it's true. People will try to discourage you from telling your story, speaking out, speaking up. They don't want you doing that because you're exposing things within them that they don't even want to admit to themselves. Most people are running from something. They're hiding something, some aspect of their personality, known as the shadow selves. This isn't just a spirituality thing. The shadow self and all that is based upon psychology. Psychologists speak upon this all the time. The shadow selves. Those are the parts of ourselves we'd rather not talk about. What you do with your very presence, something you do, something you say, without even realizing it most of the time, it triggers people's shadow selves. It makes that aspect of their personality come out kind of involuntarily. These lower vibrational entities, energies, beings, they don't like no starseed. They don't want no chosen one coming around, and they definitely don't want to deal with nobody's earth angel. Because you don't really belong here on this earth, so to speak. I know how that comes across, but you have to think of it like this, collective. I'm going to try to break down why people attack you. People attack you because you're different. You're a high vibrational frequency, a spiritual being living a human experience on a very low dimensional, dense plane of existence known as Earth, aka hell. This is pretty much where souls come to do their own thing, exercise their free will, and they're going to take the path of least resistance. Now, the thing about the path of least resistance is easier to drown out your sorrows with unhealthy coping mechanisms. It's just easy. And you could do that here on Earth. You can't do that up there on the higher heavenly frequency. That's why people want to come down to Earth to experience earthly pleasures. And all evil is the dark side of free will. So when people choose to do things that are destructive and counterproductive, what you're gonna see is they're gonna keep coming back to Earth over and over and over again until they choose to do the right thing for themselves and for others, for their own well-being and for the well-being of the collective consciousness. You incarnated here to try to assist with that. Now, the problem is people don't want your assistance, but your only job is to give them the opportunity to have a change of heart. Maybe they need to confront some shadow selves. Maybe they need to dismantle the very idea of like who they are, like break down why they are the way they are. Why do they react in certain ways? Why are they being self-destructive? Why do they have little to no empathy for others? Why are they selfish and self-serving in every way, shape, and form in a way that harms others and is counterproductive to the raising of the vibration of the collective consciousness? But people don't want to, most people just don't understand that. What they're going to find is that they're triggered by you. And that's all they know. They don't want to explore why. They don't want to know why. But they know that they're triggered by you. They know that there's something different about you. You didn't come here to perpetuate, suffering, having little to no empathy, doing what it is that you want to do regardless of how everybody else is affected. You mind your own business and you harm no one. Most people on earth harm other people and they enjoy it. Like they get off on it. They get something out of that. They don't understand how you came down here and you're choosing to do the hard thing, which is looking at your shadow selves, unearthing that, like dragging those shadow cells out of your subconscious and asking yourself difficult questions such as, well, why did I react that way to that person? When this person said this, why did I feel this way? What causes me to become triggered in these certain circumstances and situations? Most people don't have the introspection necessary to even begin to unpack. A lot of people need to unpack, and you trigger people to have the opportunity to unpack, but they ain't trying to unpack. They don't want nobody seeing those sides of themselves. They don't want to confront those sides of themselves. Like they're running away from it. So your very presence triggers the things that people need to work on, but they don't want to work on themselves. So they're going to attack you, the thing that they feel like is making them want to work on themselves. It's like they're so close a lot of times. These people are so close to doing the shadow work, healing, growing, forgiving, and just becoming a better person and a more productive member of society. But they would rather reject your energy because they cannot handle the guilt and the shame associated with shadow work and introspection. They don't want to forgive nobody because guess what? If they forgive the people who hurt them and made them this way, then they would have nobody left to blame but themselves. And they don't want to blame themselves. Most people, they can't handle blaming themselves. There's too much shame and guilt associated with that. So how they see you as you're making them feel guilty and shameful. That's why people go out of their way to attack you for no reason. I know a lot of collective, you're just wondering a lot of times like, damn, I was there for this person. Me and this person was cool in a relationship, in a connection, cohabitating, coexisting. All you wanted was to have a cooperative relationship where there was no secret animosity. Once you notice the secret animosity that people possess, it sucks because there's no need for that. It's so unnecessary for people to attack and lash out at you, but they feel as though they have no choice because they're not going to attack and lash out at themselves. Because they couldn't imagine something being their fault. They couldn't imagine taking accountability for something. The fact that you're putting up boundaries now, you're no longer reacting, because now you know that people are triggered by you and there's nothing that you could do to change that because that's what you were sent here to do. And it makes sense that people react the way that they react towards you because it's kind of like you're disrupting their way of life. They don't care who they have to hurt. They enjoy neglecting. They enjoy rejecting. They enjoy chaos and destruction because those types of things are rewarded on earth. But those types of things are not tolerated up on the higher heavenly realms where you come from. So you're automatically just going to stick out. A lot of you guys look very unique. It's not just that, like your energy is unique as well. People who are comfortable with operating from a lower frequency, they can feel it. They can see it on you and they don't like that. They feel very exposed in your presence, a little vulnerable, a little uneasy, and they don't want to unpack. They don't want to explore. Why is it that you make them feel this way? It's because it's your presence, something you say, something you do, is supposed to make them want to have a change of heart. Do the self-therapy, whatever it is that they need to do. Everybody out there has somebody that they need to forgive. They have something about themselves that they need to heal. But you have to do the shadow work and the introspection. It doesn't just happen over time. You can't just ignore the shadow selves. Because the more you ignore the shadow selves, the more they fester. It's something about you that's incredibly unique. You want to know why you react a certain way. You want to know why other people react a certain way towards you. They're always going to react that way. They're kind of like meant to react that way. But the fact that you're no longer reactive, people try to lure you into an argument because you trigger them. They don't want to explore why, so they're going to turn those negative feelings, not inward, but outward, and project them towards you. But they know they don't really have a good reason, like a good solid reason why they don't like you. They just know that they feel uncomfortable and uneasy in your presence. So what they'll do is they'll say little passive aggressive things. It's like they want that plausible deniability. They want to be able to say that you attacked and lashed out at them for no reason. Because they want to perpetuate the narrative that you're crazy, you're unbalanced, and you're unstable. That's their whole thing. Because if they can prove that, then they don't have to look within. They don't have to explore why they're so triggered by you. So they need a reason why they're triggered by you. So they have to provoke you. They have to antagonize you. It's like a need. It's like they feel like they have to. That's why people go out of their way to sabotage you. And people who are not targeted, people that don't have that light about them, they'll never understand. They'll say, well, what's so special about you? What makes you think you're so special that people would waste all their time and energy and resources? People are literally wasting their time, energy, and resources on you on a daily basis because they are obsessed with you. And people who are unremarkable will never understand that about you. So collective, I want you to understand that there's no point in trying to explain yourself or tell your side of the story or seek out help and support from people who do not have a light about them. They're operating from a lower frequency. They're complicit. They're just like them. They're a part of it. They're in on it. So the point is to isolate you, but I don't want my collective to feel isolated. So I want to know that I believe you. I believe that people attack you for no reason, other than the fact that they're triggered and they don't want to explore why. I understand that you are ostracized, talked about. They do a smear campaign against you, noise campaign. You're sitting at home, peaceful, minding your own business. People that live around you, people that live with you, they want to disrupt you in any way that they can because their energy feels disrupted around you and they don't want to explore why. It's crazy the lengths people will go to when they don't want to explore why they're triggered by you. They just know that they don't like you. So now they're becoming incredibly frustrated and upset, collective. Okay, Two of Swords in reverse is like, they don't know what to do now. They can't make a decision. As much as they try to infiltrate your mind with like annoyances, like their whole plan is to annoy you to death. Like, because they know that they can't do anything against you. A lot of people, they don't even know why they lash out at you. It's because you're disrupting their way of life, which is operating from a negative frequency. Because it's easier to operate from a negative frequency because being negative is easier than being positive. Straight up. It just is. That's why a lot of spirits incarnate here in order to exercise the negative side of free will. That's what people mean, like when they say things like, oh, this person's evil. They're operating from a place of evil. They have evil in their heart. Evil is just the dark side of free will. It's the negative side of free will. And it makes people feel powerful that they can choose to do that. Because in other realms, you don't really have that choice. Because everyone's so enlightened, that's not even really an option. But here, you're rewarded for taking that option. But collective people don't understand how you don't try to be a good person. You don't try to appear to be a good person. You just are a good person. People don't get that. People don't get like, how can you be so positive in the face of negativity? I mean, if you think others don't see other people trying to discredit you and destroy your life for no reason, no, people still sit there and watch. Front row, tickets to your downfall. Because they want proof. They want a reason to believe that you cannot be a good person with a pure heart and positive intentions and still succeed in this world. Which is why when you give in to lower frequency, low vibrational activities and ways of thinking and behaviors, you're rewarded. I'll use myself as a personal example. I made the most money and I had the most friends and the most success on paper when I was at a lower frequency. The lowest frequency. Angry all the time. See, when you're angry all the time, people are scared of you and they respect that. So you get a bunch of respect and less disrespect. And then you're rewarded. You end up with more opportunities, more jobs, more hours, more connections, a bigger network, more clients, more money. Because you're going out and you're fraternizing with all sorts of people, associating with everybody. When you're intoxicated and inebriated, you'll talk to anybody. And then you inadvertently end up making all these connections. But you're living at a lower vibration. You're not in touch with your higher self. You're very human. And that's why people don't like you, because you seem like you're not human. You seem like there's this light about you. People could tell like you're just not from this dimension. You're not from this plane of existence. You're from some type of advanced society on one of those other planets or some type of angelic frequency. They could tell that there's something different about you, something odd, something weird, from their perspective. And they're not wrong. It's because you were never meant to fit in. Because somebody who has a pure heart and positive intentions, they're not going to fit in with the ordinary, average, everyday human being. Because you're rewarded for going along with the program, being at a lower vibration. You're rewarded. The more normal and typical you are, the more opportunities that you're going to have, because people feel comfortable around you because they don't have to grow and they don't have to change. This is why before I became sober, so many people were comfortable around me. They wanted to hang out with me all the time because I wasn't pushing myself to grow and change. So they didn't feel like they were pushed to grow or change. But let me tell you something. When I got sober, I'm going on 4 years sober from alcohol. Okay. California sober. All them friends, they disappeared. All them opportunities, my network, all that disappeared. Because when you want better for yourself, it's a very lonely road. And that's what they want. They want you to become so isolated. You know, or they're going to sabotage your finances. You know, you're going to become financially insecure. Kind of wondering like what's going to happen next. And that gives you this paralyzing sense of dread. This awful feeling of loneliness and isolation, because the more you try to work on yourself and become positive without stepping on anybody else or lowering your frequency, the less and less and less people are going to relate to you. They're going to feel uncomfortable around you because they have become comfortable with being at a lower frequency, lower vibration. They don't want to grow. They don't want to change. They don't want to heal. So what does that mean? They're going to start inadvertently sabotaging good relationships with other people. They're going to sabotage themselves. They're not going to elevate, which is the whole point of us being here, is to elevate so we can get closer and closer and closer to source, which is where we all came from. And that's going to be beneficial for everybody. Okay, that's why they say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. One person elevates, it's good for the entire collective. We all elevate a little bit every time one person elevates a little bit, but it's not comfortable elevating. You have to face parts of yourself that'll make you question your very identity. It'll make you question your beliefs. Completely change your thoughts. Like you're going to be pushed to change your way of thinking. Because being comfortable is comfortable. Who wants to be uncomfortable? Who wants to go out of their way to be uncomfortable? Not everybody. Most people won't. They don't. They don't and they won't. And they never will. Which is why they're so triggered when they see you doing it. You choose to do the hard thing. It's so easy to be negative, pessimistic, defeatist, victimizing yourself. Because when you're doing all that, you don't have to work on yourself. You don't have to grow. You're just going through the motions. You don't have any desire to become a better person. So that's when people see you out here trying to be a better person. You know, you make a mistake and you do that introspection like, you know what? I think I might have played that wrong. Why did I react this way? Okay, next time I'm gonna react this way. But people don't like that. They don't like seeing you go through those steps. They don't like seeing you do the shadow work. Get closer to God, spirit, source, your higher self. They gonna look at you like, oh, they think they better than us now. It's not that you think that you're better, it's that you started thinking better of yourself. You get to a point where you want to respect your mind, respect your soul, respect your body. And that means putting up boundaries with people who don't respect you because they don't respect themselves. So how the hell they gonna respect you? Same thing. People don't love themselves. How in the hell they gonna love you? It's impossible. And then once you start to catch on, it makes people think about doing introspection. But they become triggered when they even think about doing introspection because they can't handle the shame and the guilt associated with it. So that's why they're going to always attack you. There's nothing you could do about it but continue to distance yourself from these people and forgive them with love. Now, when somebody's lashing out at you maliciously, with hatred, contempt, and disdain, it's incredibly difficult. Because again, you got to do the hard work. You got to do the hard thing. It's incredibly difficult for you to respond with love when somebody's in your face responding with hate, trying to get you in trouble at work, talking bad about you to your family members, spreading rumors amongst your mutual friends, trying to get you evicted, get you in trouble with the landlord, talk bad about you in the community. The whispers, the lies, the gossip. People always come to you with that like mean girl energy, like the high school cliques, bullying the person who's different. They're always going to bully the person who's different because you're daring to be different. You're encouraging, or at least attempting to encourage people unknowingly to dare to be different, because the only way we can change this world is if we dare to be different, because if we don't change, then everything's going to stay the same. When you go out and you make the necessary changes, people aren't going to like that, because it's going to point a spotlight on the fact that they're not making the necessary changes, and they know what they need to do. But it involves changing their thoughts, their beliefs, their habits, their behaviors. They're going to have to elevate. They don't want to do that. So when people see you elevating, they can't just let you mind your own business. They can't just let you be. They have to drag you back down to a lower vibration with them so they can feel comfortable again. That's why they try to provoke you. So you could be at a lower vibration with them so they can feel comfortable again. So they can point at you and say, yeah, I knew they weren't that high vibrational. I knew they weren't that perfect. That's how people view you. They put you up on a pedestal and they see you as perfection. Anytime somebody idealizes you and pedestalizes you, it's only a matter of time, like clockwork, before they knock you off at that same pedestal that they put you on. Meanwhile, you don't even want the attention. You don't even want to be pedestalized like that, collective. You just be out here minding your own business. Now, it would be nice if somebody could return that nice, kind, compassionate, loving energy towards you, but as time goes on, you're starting to realize like you're not meant to have long-term relationships with most of these people. These relationships are not meant to have longevity. Now that can be a hard pill to swallow, because we've been sold a lie that we're supposed to, have these long-term relationships, but we're not. You're supposed to briefly encounter people so you could trigger them, they could trigger you, and you guys can both learn a lesson. But you're out here learning all the lessons and everybody else is just being triggered by you. So it makes it seem like you're the common denominator. It makes it seem like you're doing something wrong. Like, is it me? Like, you'll question yourself. But that's how introspective you are. That's good that you're saying like, is it me? Yeah, it is you, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. When you fall out with everybody, that's not necessarily a bad thing. None of your friendships, relationships work out. You're not close with your family. That is not necessarily a bad thing. It means you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Elevating, healing, learning, growing. Even when it's hard, doing the hard thing. It's hard doing the right thing. Cutting somebody off when you really love that person, but they're negatively impacting your mental health. They're contaminating your aura. They're infiltrating your mind and your spirit and your soul because you're clinging on to this relationship that should have been ended. But that's how loyal you are. You want people to grow and elevate with you because you have a lot of love in your heart. But these people don't have love in their heart. So it's wasted. Your love is wasted on these other people. Now you're realizing that. And you're putting the love back into yourself, as you should. So now people don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They know that they're mad at you. They know they want to drag you back down to a lower vibration. But you're being seen as like very cool, calm, collected, very stoic right now. You're not lashing out or responding with anger. Of course, you're only human. You're going to have moments where you're angry and upset, as you should. sadness, depression, regret, anxiety. You're a spiritual being living a human experience, but living a human experience, okay? You're allowed to be human, but you're not letting it fester. You're not ruminating in those bad, negative energies. And it's not like those energies are bad and negative, don't get me wrong. When you identify with them and you don't want to explore, well, why do I feel this way? That's the difference between you. That's the difference between you and most people. When you do feel these emotions, okay, you want to explore why. And then it makes you come to these realizations like, damn, this person always low-key had animosity towards me. You're becoming enlightened. Your third eye is open in a way that it never really has been before. Like, I feel like you're really seeing people for who they are, which is why it's becoming easier and easier for you to cut these people off, establish boundaries, which is one of the huge lessons that earth angels and starseeds come here to learn. Because it's like, you're connected with your higher self. You know other people could be connected with their higher self, and you guys could have a mutually beneficial relationship. And I feel like that's what your soul wants. That's what your heart wants. When it comes to these karmics that you meet, because you know that you knew these people in a past life. Like, there's something about them that feels familiar. There's something about them that makes you want to be around them. It makes you you want them to heal and learn and grow. You want them to be able to do that introspection, ideally. But now you're seeing, like, they don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. They don't want to heal. They want to remain comfortable and complacent. They're stuck in their ways. They don't understand that when they get to the other side, they're going to kick themselves, because they're going to be like, damn, I was triggered by you this whole time for this reason. I could have done the introspection. I could have faced the guilt and the shame. I could have worked through that, did the shadow work, but I didn't want to. Instead, I spent my whole lifetime blaming you, collective. That's what they do. They spend all this time and energy annoying you, antagonizing you, blaming you, doing the smear campaign, talking about you, trying to get you in trouble, trying to make it seem like you're crazy, mentally unbalanced, paranoid, psychotic. They'll say anything. If they can't provoke you to do something damaging to your reputation, they'll just make up a lie to damage your reputation. They're not above doing that. They love it. They love coming up with new things to say about you to discredit you. Because the more people believe their lies, the more that they can hide. And they've been hiding the shadow aspects of themselves. They're scared of themselves. And what it really is they're scared of you. Because there's something about you that exposes people's shadow sides. They don't quite get it. It's pretty like supernatural. Okay? And people are very unsettled when something supernatural happens. Your very presence is supernatural. So what people will do with it is they'll attack. People attack what they fear. And they fear the knowledge. They fear the understanding of self. But you have developed this understanding of self through isolation. In isolating yourself, guys, you have come to the conclusion that most people aren't going to get you, and there's no point in dragging out a relationship where the person is committed to misunderstanding you. It's like you have this peaceful, like, understanding. Not that it doesn't hurt, not that you don't look back at relationships and wish things were different, of course. But you know that you can only control your thoughts, your actions, and your belief system. And that's all that you're focused on right now. You got that discipline, motivation. People don't like that. When they see you starting to become locked in discipline with that tunnel vision, they don't like that because they know that you finna elevate even more without succumbing to a low vibration. Behaviors, thoughts, ways of existing. They don't want to admit that there's another way because that way requires introspection. They're not trying to do no introspection. I mean, that's really what it comes back to, collective. It's really that simple when you start to really look at it and break it down. And then you stop taking it so personally. Not that it doesn't hurt, not that it's not disappointing, but you stop taking it so personally all the time because you know that you're just doing your job. And it's not easy. You didn't sign up for an easy life. Now you deserve the world for what for this job that you decided to take on. See it like that. Look at it like that. This is a task. This is a mission. This is a job that you decided to take on. And it's a thankless job. It's a job that you're not even getting paid for. But you're doing something good for humanity. Even if 99% of people don't appreciate it, in fact, they'll actually attack you for it. They're not going to love you. They're going to hate you for it. The reason you're here in this human existence is for the 1% that might resonate, that might become inspired, that wants to listen to the knowledge. They relate, they resonate. That's your people. That's your audience. Their manipulation tactics have backfired. Everything that they try to do against you is being returned to sender. The narcissists, they're panicking right now because the empaths are elevating and they know it. That's why they try so hard to do every single thing that they can to bring you back down to a lower vibration. And if they can't do that, they're going to try to tarnish your reputation. The problem is you no longer care. It's a problem for them. It's not a problem for you. Keep doing you. You're doing everything right. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's just going to take you longer and you're going to have to go about it in a more creative way. You could still succeed in this world without being evil, without succumbing to low vibrational things. It's just going to take you longer. You're going to have to take an alternate route. You're going to have to take a different path. You're going to have to get real creative. That's why I encourage the collective to keep up with your spiritual practices and your spiritual hygiene. Whether you pray, whether you practice manifestation techniques, maybe you do breath work, or maybe you just sit there and talk to yourself. It's really all the same thing when it comes down to it. You're connected with your higher self. That's why I encourage people to keep doing that because they're going to try to do everything that they possibly can. Nothing is a coincidence. All these distractions that come up, these obstacles, these setbacks, it was all preordained. So you could prove that you could face these obstacles and these setbacks. And these setbacks, they may seem major right now, but they're minor. It's a minor setback for a major comeback. Keep doing your thing, collective. Okay.